Hey everybody, Rob here. As you know, today is Freelance Friday. Yeah, it's hard to believe that it's Friday already, man. The 5th of February. Wow, in a short month. All right, with that being said, as you know, on Freelance Fridays, we talk all things network marketing, good, bad, and yes, even the ugly. As you know, we address all things that are network marketing because you have a right to know this information. So we leave no stone unturned. There's no subject off limits. Additionally, on Freelance Fridays, the reason it's so popular is because we talk about just about anything, including our personal lives, current events, and things of that nature. So you never know what you're going to get on Freelance Fridays, and there's a reason why it's one of our most popular episodes, time in again. And today will be no different. So please join us. You can do that by going to our Facebook page or our YouTube channel. We stream live there each and every day, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also, if you will, use hashtag DMLM Solution. There it is right there, hashtag DMLM Solution, to share this podcast with our fellow network marketers all across the globe. We want to say thank you in advance. And with that, I'm going to hop off here. We'll be going live here very shortly. All right, talk to you in a minute.
Welcome to the MLM Solution Podcast Show, where you'll learn the facts and hear the truth about the network marketing industry. Here's your host, Rob Cootie.
Hello, Miss Marie. Happy Friday. How are you today?
Woohoo! It is Friday and I am fantastic. How about yourself?
I'm doing fine. I see that I changed our logo there. I'll put it back up. What's going on there? Okay. I don't know what's happening.
That's all right. I see it. It's there. No,
Really?
that's the old one. There's Freelance Friday.
It doesn't show up on this side. Okay, anyway.
It's on my side.
There you go. Wow, that thing is biased.
I don't know about that. First Friday of February.
I know, last Friday of January and the first Friday of February. In a short month, Miss Marie. A short month, 28 days. Wow. I wonder how they came up with that on the calendar. I don't know how in the world they came up with 360. Well, I mean, I do in a very general way. I love astrology. Not into astrology, but I love it. The stars and the universe and all that just fascinates me to no end. And I do remember reading that years ago. I used to read all the time. I told you that I pick up a dictionary and I just randomly open up and just start reading the dictionary. Did I not tell you that?
I'm not sure I knew that.
Yeah. I love reading dictionaries.
Nerd alert.
Yeah. And I love books on astrology. You ought to see my library. It is freaking massive. The wife goes, when we're packing to move, she goes, "You're going to get rid of some of those books, aren't you?" And I looked at her. She goes, "Well, you can't read all those." I said, "Well, I'll tell you what, when you get rid of your clothes, I'll get rid of my books." Well, that shut that up real quick.
Nice.
Yeah, that always ends the conversation. I said, "It's my freaking library. What difference does it make? It's in my office." I said, "Why do you care?"
That's interesting. So here's my experience with dictionaries. I don't know if I've shared this with you before, but I went to parochial school for most of my grade school, high school years. And in grade school, middle school in particular, one of the punishments that the nuns like to dole out was to have you write a page of the dictionary.
Oh, my.
So if you did something or you acted up or whatever the case may be, sometimes I think they just picked on me because, I was there. It was write a page of the dictionary. So by the next morning, you had to turn in a page of the dictionary.
Wow.
So yeah, so that probably helped expand my vocabulary quite a bit. And it also, I took it as a challenge to see how small I could write to fit as much of a dictionary page as I could on an 8.5 by 11 line sheet of paper, right? So my handwriting got super small.
That is freaking awesome. And you way to stick it to them. You still did what you're supposed to, but you did it in your way.
Yeah, I don't know that they actually read it, but after a while, I will admit, in the middle of the pages, sometimes I cheated, and it wasn't small writing as much as it was just scribble. But
I'd have left some of the words out. I wasn't in the dictionary.
that wasn't in my dictionary.
Rob, there was more than 3 words on that page. No, there wasn't. Not my dictionary.
Oh, see, and now I think about it, it was like, where was the MLM dictionary back then?
There you go.
That would have been a more interesting thing to copy.
And a lot easier.
Probably. And the pages were probably a whole lot shorter than Webster's standard.
Yes.
2-column small print.
Well, I can see why you don't like dictionaries. That would piss me off too.
I have nothing against the dictionaries. It's more the nuns.
Okay. Well, I totally get that too. I've told you my nun story.
Yeah.
So the thing is about the dictionary, I just find it fascinating, just like I do the universe and the astrology and all that. But I remember the 365/364 days has to do with the rotation of the Earth around the sun. And on one, every so often, because of the way it's tilted, it's only 364 days.
I don't know of any year that's ever been 364 days. It's always 365 days. And once every 4 years, we throw in February 29th, and we have 366 days, which
that's
last year, 2020 was a bonus day year, which nobody wanted, but that's just kind of the way it worked out.
Yes, I'm agree. And you're right. I was backwards. I went backwards instead of forwards. You are absolutely correct.
Yeah.
So,
yep. We get the extra day in February. So there are those people. I have a friend whose birthday is February 29th. So of course,
and what do they do? The 28th?
Well, yeah, they usually celebrate on the 28th, but as he's gotten older, he's decided he only celebrates on February 29th. So, he's
cool.
Happy 16th birthday, Grandpa.
There you go. That's what I was going to ask. That would be funny. Yeah. I mean, I never thought about that. The people that were born. Let's see. Let me think about this. My ex-wife was born on April 29th. Okay. I had to think about it for a moment. So interesting. And speaking of interesting, now this is a little off topic. You got to take it with a grain of salt. I know you will, because you are you. So we go through, as we're packing, we're going through stuff, and this Goodwill. And a lot of, I got rid of a lot of suits. I got rid of a lot of clothes in general. And I go through the pockets. You don't want to give away $1,000, right? And so the bottom line is that you want to make sure that you get everything out of the pockets. So I'm up at Goodwill and I'm going through it. And there was a couple of jackets, dress jackets, that I had not gone through yet. And I was like, crap. And so I went through the pockets and I pulled out a pair of pink undies. And the guy laughed. He goes, is that a memento? And I said, well, yeah, kind of. I said, but man, that was so long ago. He said, obviously you're married. I said, yeah. I said, man, I'm shocked that's in there. I had no clue, Miss Marie. That was so embarrassing and funny all at the same time. I know I turned 90 shades red.
And here the other day you were telling me you don't wear pink. And now we come to find out.
No, it was my undies. You're right. And the wife goes, she looks at me and she goes, well, whose were those? I said, because it doesn't bother her in the least. She knows my reputation before I met her. And I said, I don't remember. She goes, yeah, right. She goes, well, what's the story behind those? And I said, I don't remember. She goes, yeah, right. She didn't believe anything I was telling her. But I'm not going to relive that moment with my wife in public while we're, but she finds it funny and hilarious. I mean, it's, but thank God. I mean, who would have thought, there's one of those life's moments. That's the only reason I brought it up, because it's one of those moments where you in life where you're like, oh my gosh. And, I handled it the best I could. I just turned red and giggled,
That is an interesting one. No, my favorite thing is, putting on the winter coat the first time during the year and sticking my hand in the pocket, and it's like, ooh, $5.
Yeah. I believe it or not, I did some contract work. And when I first got out of the military, my brother taught me how to do contract work, because I really wasn't sure if I wanted to have a job. You know what I'm saying? And until I decided what I wanted to do, I thought, okay, I'm going to be active, because, you don't want to dig into your money. You don't want to live off of that and get lazy. Right. And so, you get out there and you make enough money to keep, things going. And contract work can be very lucrative, especially when I told them, I said, look, I don't need any insurance, blah, blah, blah. And their eyes got big, because that's one of the biggest expenses. I told them, retired military, got it all covered. Blah, blah, blah. And you know what? We ended up getting really nice paydays, But the point is that one of the contract jobs I went to was, believe it or not, at Sam Myers tuxedos, but what did the formal wear? That's what it's called. And at one time, Sam Myers was the largest formal wear provider in the U.S. And I know the owners personally, and I won't get into that. But anyway, the point is, I went there and I did contract work. Found out that they needed some help. And so I went over there and I said, well, what do you need help with? And they told me, come here. I did the same thing at Papa John's. I did the same thing at Ford. I did contract work at Papa John's international headquarters, blah, 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 right? Hold on a second. Maggie, you have to come here.
We have critter issues.
Yes, Maggie's at my feet. She rarely comes to me unless she has to go potty or something. Anyway, so so I said, okay, well, I can do that for you. And so I went in there and come here. There you go. Good girl. She probably has to potty. Anyway, I'll put her in my lap until we get done here. When they were short manned, they would say, hey, everybody come in. They go over the intercom system and say, hey, everybody report to so-and-so area. I didn't know what in the world was going on. And what it was is that the tuxedos would come in from all across the country, and we had to take them out of these boxes, and you had to go through the pockets. Well, you learn real quick. You got to be careful. You better wear gloves and something that keeps you from getting poked with the needle, believe it or not. Because people would shoot up, with these. Anyway, not a good situation. And so, I'm like, oh man, this is not what I signed up for. I'm a contract worker. And so I reluctantly helped them in the beginning, became good friends with a lot of people there in the process. And I did this in the beginning. Miss Marie, you would not believe we find those pockets. Do you know how much money I found in those tuxedos?
Did you get to keep the money?
Hundreds. You could if you wanted to. We would donate it to St. Jude's. But you reach in there and a wad of money. Because they get drunk, they get high, they forget what they had in their pockets. You find condoms, you find wallets, you find watches, sunglasses. Real expensive stuff. You'd find wedding rings, male and female. I guess because they're having an affair or whatever, messing around and took the rings off to make themselves feel better. And of course we turned that stuff on. We didn't take it home, because a lot of people in a panic would call, and they would put up a list. Or they go over the intercom system. If anybody finds a Rolex men's watch, blah, 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 blah. And so that we knew what to look for. You know what I'm saying? Mm. And so it was quite interesting, to say the least. That's when you brought that up. That's what that reminded me of. I never thought, the people did that stuff, left stuff in there, like that. Of course, I left undies and because the wife said, well, how did those get in your pocket? I was like, I don't remember. Obviously, I do remember, but but that's neither here nor there.
Well, I'm sure it happens all the time. I mean, think about the things that people leave behind in rental cars.
I know. I talked to a guy who does that. I became good friends with, we use Enterprise up the street a lot, and became good friends with the kids that run that. And they're all kids, they're in their 20s, early 30s. And the guy that cleans it, he tells me that stuff. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And so he said, especially at the airports where they're in a hurry.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I mean, you're right. They can keep it if they want it, if they want. That's unbelievable, though. You're right. The things that we have found. Matter of fact, we got a rental car the other day that had the prior person's, how they left that in there, I don't know. I left it in the car. I didn't take it. I took it back with that in there. But, with today's situation, I did not want to touch it. And it wasn't anything bad. It was a common item, but I ain't touching it. The wife said, I said, don't touch it. Just leave it as it is. You know what? We'll just turn it back in and let them deal with it. Because I did not want to take it in the house, not that the germs were going to jump off of it, but it was just inviting something in that I had to keep up with. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. Just leave it there. And so that's what we did. But you're right.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you knew that. You must have learned that in the dictionary.
No, actually, I learned that the last trip I took, because I always take a variety of things out of my car that I need in a rental car, especially if I'm going to be driving it for a week or more. I know I'm going to be driving a distance in the rental car.
Yeah.
And I had a holder for my phone that clips on just an air vent. So it works on any car. It's not a sticky thing or whatever.
Yeah.
And of course, we got to the airport, and it wasn't so much that we were in a hurry, but it was like pouring. So you just wanted to get your stuff out of the car and get, under the shelter, wait for the bus to go to the terminal and everything. So I pulled the clip off the car, or off the air vent, with my phone. But the problem is it's two pieces, and normally it just comes off the air vent. Well, the part attached to the phone came off, but the clip that was still clipped to the air vent stayed. And I was like, of course, didn't realize until I got home to put the car on my air vent. And I'm like, what? Oh, man.
I would have never thought that either. I would not have caught that. I know exactly. The wife has those, and she loves it. And it is handy. That's pretty cool. But I totally get what you're talking about. I would not have thought of that. I'd have done the same thing. I'd have pulled it and thought everything was cool.
Yep. I pulled it. I had all the cables. I'm like, I got everything good to go. Whoop, we're out. Get rained on. I get home, get in my car at the airport, go to put the phone on the vent. And it's like, oh, rats.
Have you, on all your travels, and I'm sure you have, because you travel about as much as I do or did. I have gone through, I had never been to Opryland.
Opryland, Nashville?
Yeah, the whole complex.
Oh, like Grand Ole Opry?
Not
or
the
are you
Grand
talking
Ole
the Gaylord Hotel?
Yes. That whole complex. It's a big complex.
Yeah.
It's an amusement park, all that. Water park and everything. We went down there and we stayed. And I'm going through my mind here. And we stayed in a timeshare, not ours, somebody else's. And when we got ready to leave, super nice. Oh my gosh, unbelievable. Anyway, we you go through, you walk through. We're old enough where we've been enough trips that we know the routine. Take your time, stay calm, evaluate everything, look at everything, open up drawers, open up the closet, make sure everything is gone. So I did that. And sure enough, we head home. I get home. I said, hey, where's my headphones? Guess where they were? I know, how the hell do you go through the whole thing and leave your headphones? I mean, that's a bigger item than what you had on your clip. But the point is it's big, and it's not like you can overlook it. I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me. I was so mad at myself because I was mad. because we did not rush. We took our time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And still missed it. Unbelievable.
Yeah, some of those things like, power cords, earbuds, cables, those types of things, I think those get left pretty regularly. When people are leaving things behind like cell phones and iPads and computers, I'm like, I don't understand how those get left
Me
behind.
neither. I agree. I'll be honest with you, when I go, I take the absolute minimum that I can. And nowadays phones are so powerful, and I have a Motorola phone. I used to have Apples and went to the Samsung from Apples because at that time Apple screens were so small, and as I got older, I couldn't see, and when you're doing a map, you had to move the screen around to see the total map. It was a mess. So the wife and I said, okay, we need to get bigger screens, which led us to Samsung. We got the big Notes, and at that time, they're almost 6 inches, and now we can see the maps. Now we can see, because a lot of times when we bring maps up, we don't want to use the voice, because if we could just see, we go, Louisville's the type of city you can drive around in any fashion, like Atlanta and other places. You don't have to use the highway. So anyway, that's what we've been doing. We needed to see the whole screen so that we could say, oh, yeah, I know how to get there now. And so Samsung led to LG, and then LG led to Motorola. And Motorola has a lot of accessories, cool accessories. For instance, this. Have you ever seen that?
I don't know what that is.
It's called a Motorola Hint. And you open it up like that. That's a charging cradle.
Okay.
And in that is the earpiece.
Interesting.
It's amazing the things that can do, how clear it is, how the wind does not affect it. It immediately, Moto Hint connected. More than 1 hour left on the phone. On the earpiece. So I use that, and I take my phone, and that's all I take anymore. Because I don't have to keep up with the computer, the laptop. The computer. I don't have to keep up with the tablet. I no longer do that.
Well, that's just it. You have the power of a computer in your pocket anymore.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's what used to, the computing power that used to occupy a large room now fits in your pocket.
Unbelievable. It's truly unbelievable. And
technology is a wonderful thing.
It is. It can be. Absolutely. And, if you and I do a live event, which I'm sure we will, I'll have the computers and stuff. There's no way we could do it without it. And I will be methodical. I will have a checklist. You mark my words. You will see. I will have a checklist, because I ain't leaving my computer behind. That would freak me out. Not that there's anything bad on there, but hell, you don't know the information you can get. I don't put any personal information on there. There's no pictures on there that shouldn't be on there. In other words, you don't want pictures of your grandkids, because sometimes they have the geotag on them. And they say, yep, they're from Louisville, Kentucky. You don't know what people do with that kind of crazy stuff, And so that would freak me out a little bit. It'd be like, oh man, you know what? I got family pictures on there. I've got access to, because you save your passwords, at least I do on my computer. They're password protected. But the thing is, if they were somehow to get in there, they could get all my passwords. So it would just kind of freak me out. I'd be like, oh, yeah. delete, destroy. You have that destroy button. You hit that red button.
Yep.
Boom.
Yep. Self-destruct. This computer will self-destruct in 5 seconds.
The reset button. Burr, 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 burr. Because, man, but the same thing with your phone. You got all kinds of information on your phone, just as like you do on your computer.
Mm-hmm.
I try to keep my my personal computers personal free. In other words, I don't have family pictures and all that. I save all that on the drive, the cloud.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to bog all that down. So, and I use my family pictures. I made this past Christmas, and the one before, I make photo albums, and my family just totally enjoys that. Us, over your whole life. That's
cool.
Yeah. And as I find more and more pictures that my brother or sister and them don't have, I'll make, like 1 year, I made one of us going to Disney World. And my daughter got the biggest kick out of that. And she didn't realize I had all those pictures. And we made this album, and it was in chronological order. Like, we'd go to Epcot, and then we'd go to Magic Kingdom, and then we'd go. So I did it in order, Epcot, so that when you walked in, because they know, hey, this is what we walked in, this is what we did, this is what and they saw those pictures. They were so amazed. And I noticed the other day she had it in a special place in her home. So obviously she enjoyed it, and that's cool.
That is cool.
It
That's
is.
awesome.
I imagine you can make quite a thing like that with all your travels, because you've seen a lot and you've done a lot.
Yeah, I've seen a fair amount. I'm not much of a picture taker of places and
Really?
things as
I'm
much as I
not.
am people. I'm more I
Yeah.
like people pictures.
Yeah, now I do that.
My theory is a lot of the places we've been, like we lived in Paris for a little while, and
Oh, that's cool. You didn't tell me that.
you've got all the postcards and everything and these beautiful pictures. So what we ended up doing was going to kind of a tourist place and getting one of those big, picture books,
Yeah.
like a coffee table book
Yeah,
that
yeah.
has all the pictures of Paris. And it's like, well, it's all the places we've been.
So why
But they're
take pictures?
They're professional pictures with a description of the place. So
Yeah. Why do I need to make one? Right?
rather do that than, put together
Yeah.
my own pictures. So that was one of those things when we lived there. Of course, we had a lot of people come visit because, hey, free place to stay in Paris, right? And the cost, we always said, because everybody that came to visit, they took pictures of everything. So we always said we needed a set of their pictures. And this was back when
my.
there were actual print pictures, right? It
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
digital like it is today. So we have pictures of the Eiffel Tower from every angle imaginable.
I would imagine the thing's impressive in person.
It is. It is
It's kind
super
of overwhelming. I mean, it's
Actually,
massive.
actually, the most impressive thing to me was the chateau at Versailles.
Oh, I could see that. Oh.
So it's one of those things where the front of it, when you walk up to it and you kind of go through it, it's really impressive. But what I called the backyard, that was the money shot. I would just go out and I would sit on those back steps and I would just stare at it for the longest time, because
Wow.
the gardens of Versailles, it's almost like looking at a picture or a painting, but it's real. And it was just, you sit there and you take it in, just the amount of history that's there,
Yes.
the amount of work and expense that goes into maintaining all the trees and the shrubbery and the way they're, trimmed and shaped and everything. It's gorgeous.
I would
So
love
I
to see that.
always like to joke, because I'd sit like right in the middle of the staircase. People were always taking pictures of the chateau itself.
Yeah.
I am in more pictures around the world than most people are.
That's amazing, Miss Marie.
I'm sure people look at that and go, who is that sitting in the middle of the picture? And it's like, we have no idea. Yeah, that was me.
That's funny. That's funny. Well, you know what? I did not know that you had spent that much time. Do you speak Italian?
I do not speak Italian. I don't speak French either, though.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. You're right. Why I thought it was in Italy, I have no idea. And forgive me. I meant France.
No, actually, we went to France. Joe was relatively fluent in French, and I went.
Oh, okay.
I went knowing one phrase: "Je suis une pomme de terre," and you always say it with a smile because it's basically "I am a potato." And everybody was like, why would you go to France just knowing that one phrase? And I said, well, it served its purpose. People would either understand that, one, I don't speak French, or two, I'm crazy and they probably just want to leave me alone anyway. So
That's funny. That is good. That's interesting.
I thought it was, I was functional by the time we left. Like, I could do food, beverages, get around. My theory was you can always pretty much learn all the language that you need in an airport. But I wasn't conversational, but I could get around and get away with, little snippets of conversation.
So how did they like the Americans?
It's interesting because a lot of people think the French hate Americans, and that's not exactly true. The French, and it's really the Parisians more than the French. They don't like anybody.
Really.
So Americans are their own special breed. Of course, we were there like 25 years ago now, so this was a little while ago, but some of our interactions in restaurants and observations, we can see why the Parisians don't like the Americans, because we have this habit of going places and expecting people to cater to us. And in France, in Paris in particular, they speak French. And it would go a long way if you at least would greet them, bonjour, or say merci, thank you. I mean, just simple little things in their language. But if you just walked in and you were like all about the English, they could come across as really rude, because they're like, it'd be like somebody walking into Louisville and expecting you to speak Korean. Right? And basically yelling at you in your restaurant because you don't have a menu in Korean and you're not speaking their language. Well, why would you go with that expectation?
Yeah.
So that was the biggest struggle, I think.
Yeah, I could see where that'd be a problem. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And it's not that they didn't understand English. They understood English just fine. They just choose not to speak it.
Well, and I don't blame them. They're in their home country. Why would worry about English when you're not in America?
Yeah.
I know the reason I brought up Italy is because a good friend of ours, a very good friend, she lived in Italy for a number of years, and speaks fluent Italian, as you can imagine. And when she comes into town, we typically go out to an Italian restaurant, and she's very down to earth, very kind of a hippie type person. I don't mean that in a bad way, but I mean very laissez-faire about life in general. She used to be a nun, believe it or not, and was for years, like 10 years. Then left the nunhood for whatever reason. Not really sure. We don't pry. We feel that there's a story there that she does not want to share, and we respect that. And we don't need to go down that road. Everybody has a story, so we just like, okay. Then she got married, which is very unusual even for ex-nuns. And then that ended. And we have a feeling that she's just not the Marian type. In other words, she's more of a loner in life. One of those people, a joyful loner, not a, she's just on her way. And there's certain people that like that. They have no desire to be married, and you know what? She could live out on a compound, Miss Marie, and be perfectly happy. And she's the sweetest person you could ever possibly want to know. And additionally, she would do anything in the world for you, but she likes being alone. Yeah. So what a unique journey that is, to be a nun for X amount of years, totally dedicated, and then just up one day, and we can't figure out if she was kicked out or if she voluntarily left or her beliefs totally. We're not sure what happened there, but just abruptly, one day you're a nun and the next day, for whatever reason, then decide to get married. I mean, after being 10 years in the nunhood, and then just a nice guy, and then just decide to get married. Okay. And then they were married for 3 to 5 years. I can't remember which. And then that ended like the nunhood. It's like, okay. And they both went about their merry ways. And it's all interesting.
Yep.
But she's got some interesting Italy stories, and I'm sure you do as far as France too. Because that's chock full of history, just like France. Beautiful things to see and rich in history, human history. There's a difference between history and human history. I mean, there's some deep human history in France and Italy. You know it?
Well, Europe in general, you look at the United States and what you go
We're
on the
young.
East Coast and maybe you can find things that are 200 years old, maybe,
Yeah.
right? But you go to Europe and you're seeing things that are like 2,000-year old.
I know. It's crazy.
I mean, one of the most impressive things to me is, of course, you have Notre Dame Cathedral,
Which burned down.
Paris. Well, caught on fire. It didn't burn down.
No, it almost did. I mean,
that came close. That was pretty scary. But people go and they're impressed by the architecture and the stained glass and all those types of things. The most impressive thing to me were the marble steps leading up to the entrance to the cathedral, because these are marble steps. And you could tell they're worn. There was like this trough worn in certain areas of the steps where footsteps, year after year, decade after decade, century after century, people have walked and worn this marble staircase down. So just to think about the number of people,
unbelievable,
over the years that have walked that path, have walked into and out of that cathedral.
Yes.
To me, that was the most impressive thing.
Well, you and I think alike, because that's exactly what would have fascinated me, is that right there. Because not only what you just said, the number of people, but think who actually has stepped on those steps over the 2,000 years, however long that's been there. Additionally, think of the first person that ever took a step, never thinking that it would be around long enough to wear down to the point that you're talking about.
Yeah.
The very first person to set foot on those steps. How old is that?
Oh gosh, I don't even remember.
It's 800 at least. 800.
Yeah, it's super old. One of the more fascinating things for us that we visited, Barcelona, Spain. They have a cathedral there that's being built, the Sagrada Familia. And I don't remember exactly when it was started, but at the time we visited, they were projecting that it would not be finished until, what would it have been? Like in the 2050s, 2060s? I think is when they were originally projecting completion. I don't know what that date is now. That date always moves depending on funding and donations and those types of things. But like Notre Dame Cathedral, but in a more current context, the Sagrada Familia is being constructed. And many of the people working on the construction of that cathedral are never going to see the completed product.
Wow.
But how many decades, centuries worth of people will see the completed product? Kind of like Notre Dame Cathedral. The guy that designed it, the people who started building it, they never saw it completed. They never saw the finished product. They had the vision and they were working toward it, and they knew going in that they would never see the finished product.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine that now with kind of the short attention span theater we have and instant gratification and all that kind of stuff? And think about the technology that was available to them at the time.
Unbelievable.
In order to build these structures. I don't think they could build that kind of quality today. And we have such arrogance now in the 21st century to think that we're so smart and we know so much and we're the best, generation that's ever lived. And it's like, you look back comparatively speaking in terms of knowledge and education and just interpersonal abilities and those types of things, we're idiots. We're just idiots.
Again, you and I think a lot alike. That's exactly how I look at it. I look back and say, man, those guys were so smart, so dedicated, real men and women. And I totally get it. I agree with you. We're a bunch of wussies, to be honest with you, compared to what those guys had to go through.
Well, and this is where I'll tie it into network marketing, because we probably should talk about that a little bit here somewhere, right? Is the fact that you're going into the network marketing industry to build a business, to achieve a dream, a certain level of income, time freedom, a level of lifestyle that you want to live. it's not going to happen overnight. There's a foundation that has to be built. There is a process that has to be followed. There is a time commitment that is required. And it's one of the biggest struggles for most people who want to make money in the network marketing industry. It's getting over that mental hurdle of transitioning from an employee mindset, meaning I put in X amount of hours, I get paid X amount of dollars, and I have job security.
That's right.
If that's something you absolutely need, business ownership, the network marketing industry, it's not going to work for you.
No.
You've got to understand that you're building a foundation and you're starting a process to build towards an ideal, to build towards your goal, where you're going to put in a fair amount of time up front.
That's right.
And a lot of effort, and you're not going to quote unquote get paid for it come Friday.
Yeah.
You know, you may not see the payoff until 2, 3, 4 months down the road. And even then the payoff may seem super small.
Right.
You have to allow it to build and snowball, and then that exponential growth can start.
Right. And you know what? That was a great segue. You're right. You did a great job there, going from one subject and transitioning into another. And I will tell you that that is a beautiful setup and a beautiful example of exactly what we were talking about in delayed gratification. And, you know, you and I always talk about, you know, hey, you can make money in your first month. You can, you know, by the third month, you could be on a roll and really have something special going on. And you and I think that's the norm, but you're right. I know that when I went into network marketing, making a lot of money my third, fourth, fifth month was so foreign to me that I thought I didn't even give it much thought at all. I was just trying to get to the first year. I thought, okay, it's going to take me a year. Of course, things moved a lot slower back then because everything was more manual. But the thing is that you're right. It's amazing the impatience that people have. You're so spot on. Guys, if you were just to take and recommit it and say, I'm going to do the 90-day mini blast. I'm not going to think about anything. I'm just going to look at results. And then I'm going to go based on those results, make adjustments, whatever. And I'm not going to worry about what I have going on at the end of those 90 days. I'm here for the long term. Now, we tell you don't be a grinder, and it's absolutely right. In order for you to have a chance to do something special, you got to have that speed and urgency. But what she's talking about is like, okay, you know what? I want to create X amount of money by my third month. If that doesn't happen, that's not going to deter me. That's not going to make me upset. And I'm not going to beat myself up over it because of what she said. If Miss Marie and I, without dragging this on, were to join a company today, her and I know before we take our first step into the business building process in this new company, we know this is a 2-year process. And you might say to yourself, well, you're always talking about 90 days and you guys say that you can do X amount in 90 days or 180 days. Yeah, we can. But here's the thing. We know ultimately our success is not judged on 90 days or 180 days. It's judged on 24 months, maybe even 36 months based on the company and other variables. Would you not agree, Miss Marie?
Oh, yeah, I absolutely do. And you know, kind of take that mindset of you're building towards something. So, you know, what is it you want to build? Do you just want to build a crap shack because you just want that instant money? Or are you going to build the cathedral? It's going to take time. But ultimately what you end up having becomes something that's a legacy for you that you can pass down to future generations.
Yep, there it is. You got it. You can either build an ATM that spits out money on a monthly basis, or you can build or grow a money tree that will do it for generations, as she said. That's the choice. Well, Miss Marie, it's going on 44 minutes. It's hard to believe already. And are you comfortable with what we've done here?
I think so. I think it's pretty good. I'm looking forward to Monday. So here's what we're going to do on Monday. This past Monday, we did an episode talking about dealing with attrition. And we were looking at attrition as kind of that negative aspect of network marketing that a lot of people don't want to address, but it's a reality. So we talked about that.
Right.
So this coming Monday, we are actually going to talk about the benefits of attrition. So that's going to be an interesting one. So be sure to join us for that Monday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern time, and find out what the benefits of attrition are.
Looky there. Yep. How did I know that? All right. The benefits Monday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. As always, guys, please utilize the hashtag #TheMLM Solution to share our podcast and our platforms with our fellow network marketers all across the globe. We hope that you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please give us a thumbs up. As always, if you like what you hear and understand the points we're making, although we didn't make any real points outside of the last 3 or 4 minutes of the show, we just had a good old visit, a fireside chat, if you will, with Maggie as well and Toll. And if you will, like and share and comment on our various social media platforms. Sweetie, I know I love you too.
Yep. And you can find us across all those social media platforms by using hashtag #TheMLM Solution. That's hashtag #TheMLM Solution. And also be sure to visit our website, themlmsolution.net. If you haven't checked it out recently, come visit. Changes are happening.
Yes, they are. They will happen. This weekend. Monday, it'll be much different.
All right.
A different website come Monday. Vastly different. And the members area is being updated as well. So there's a lot of big changes going on. We're constantly changing and growing, and that is awesome. Well, Miss Marie, I hope that you have a wonderful weekend, a safe weekend, a blessed weekend. We wish that to all of you as well. Please come back Monday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time as we cover another fascinating, important subject on the network marketing business model and the industry itself. Miss Marie, it's been great. I will see you Monday.
Have a great weekend, everyone.
Yeah, I agree. Have a great weekend. Let me get the video going here.
Thank you for listening to the MLM Solution Podcast. For more info, visit our website, themlmsolution.net. Please follow us on the following platforms: Facebook, YouTube, etc. And share this podcast with our fellow network marketers around the world by hitting the share button on our various platforms.